understanding and state of quantum mechanics to a general audience. When he got done with his hour-and-a-half lecture about our current understanding of quantum mechanics at its most basic level, this is what physicist David Tong said. He said, "This is our current understanding of how things work at the quantum level, but we could be wrong if we're looking at it from the wrong perspective." Now, what he introduced there is the concept of underdeterminism in science. So in science, nothing is considered proven. Any conclusions are given provisional status and could be falsified tomorrow, either by a re-examination of the data or some new observation that would displace it. So when you state that something is proven, then you're not understanding what the nature of science is. Number two, do you know who Karl Popper is, the famous philosopher of science, was?
Okay, hold on, Dred, don't answer this. Ask him, yeah, can the mathematics behind quantum entanglement be proven? Which is, yes, you can mathematically prove quantum entanglement can happen.
Well, I think he just heard you.
Actually, there's Gödel's incompleteness theorem that you can never have a complete system of mathematics, okay? The bottom line here is this: whatever conclusions in science that you may hold to or I might hold to, they are always considered provisional in nature and therefore not proven. So I don't know if you have a lack of understanding of the basic philosophy of science, or you're just being disingenuous. Karl Popper devised the demarcation between science and non-science was those endeavors that can meet up to that can be falsified in principle. The reason why Karl Popper, I'm not a fan of Karl Popper, but the reason why he championed the falsification criterion is because nothing in his viewpoint, along with many theorists in the philosophy of science, that nothing can be proven or verified. That's why they champion theories that can pass a gauntlet of falsification tests, stand in a closer relation to being potentially true. Okay, so when you say that it's been proven, you're just demonstrating your own lack of understanding in the philosophy.
Crushing atheism. I can answer that. So if you want me to be very pedantic, it's been proven to the same point as we've proven that gravity is a thing and that it follows the formulas we have for it.
You haven't proven gravity. In
fact, hold on.
Oh,
you cannot. Okay.
Dred.
Well, can you explain to me? Has it been proven that there are laws of nature, or does science presuppose laws of nature?
Dred, hold on, because the thing is, though, what he seemed to forget about Popper is that he replaced it with critical rationalism.
Okay. Can you answer that question?
That's criticism, not support. He's dodging the point. He's being really disingenuous about Karl Popper. And he's saying that Karl Popper's actually, his point, actually, he elaborated further upon his point, and he's being kind of sort of like a bit of a coward, really, because he's not addressing how Karl Popper.
So when you say things are being proven,
I think he's got to be muted, by the way.
I want to ask you this question.
Tim, he's got to be muted.
When you say it's proven, has it been proven that does nature operate according to laws, Dred?
No, it's not been proven. We make mathematical models which seem to be followed heavily by the universe.
Okay. Is it a fact that nature operates according to laws?
We don't know.
Okay, then if you don't know, where's this talk about proven that quantum entanglement is proven?
I mean, proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, I don't know what other word I could use for it. I mean,
you said it's proven.
Oh my god! Because it's the same way that someone would say we know gravity exists, or we know the functions for gravity.
Is the conclusion about quantum entanglement provisional, or is it proven?
Define provisional. I'm drawing a blank.
Provisional is that a conclusion is generally accepted, with the exception that it is not deemed to be absolute truth, and it could be falsified tomorrow.
I mean, in the same way, literally everything in science is, yeah.
So what you're doing is you're in order to argue against the laws of logic, you're invoking a provisional concept. And as I quoted in my initial response to you, David Tong said that the current state of our understanding of quantum mechanics is a certain way, but we could be wrong, he said, if we're looking at it from an incorrect perspective. So all you're simply doing is you're appealing to a certain provisional conclusion, okay, an interpretation from one perspective as an argument that the laws of logic are not absolute and universal. So it's a very bad argument that you make.
No, because your first quote is incorrect when it comes to quantum entanglement. He's right about certain parts of quantum. Yeah. So for example, the many worlds interpretation, we don't know if it's correct.
He was talking. Don't interrupt him.
All of our understanding.
Why are you interrupting him?
Of quantum mechanics could be wrong.
No. He's incorrect on quantum entanglement. It is a observed. We've observed this in laboratories thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of times. We know it does happen in the real world. What he means is, for example, we don't know whether or not the many worlds interpretation is true or quantum monism is true.
No, it's not that it's observed. What you're referring to...
You're incorrect.
You're doing this deliberately, or you're...
Go ahead, Treadman.
You're incorrect, Darth. Your interpretation of what he means is incorrect.
Please do not...
I'm not muting you.
Dredd is going. Let him finish, man.
Your interpretation of what he means is incorrect. We do not know the overriding principle of quantum, so we don't know whether or not the many worlds theorem is true or quantum monism is.
He just muted him.
So Dredd, you know better than David Tom.
Okay, hold on. No. Darth, we have a specific understanding here. You're not supposed to use any of your mod powers outside of the one room you have, and you're not supposed to interrupt people in this room.
Right.
If you want, just move down. Hey, move down there and run it however you want.
Well, and why? If you're a mod, why aren't you stepping in and somebody who is violating
the rules? You're the one who's interrupting him, and you just.
I'm not interrupting. I turned to speak, and he's over talking.
Hail the sun god.
Darth, he's gonna go and finish what he was saying.
I was the one who was.
He keeps repeating himself.
He's gonna finish it. If you don't want to, run by the same rules here, that's fine. Move down to the other room, and you can do it however you want there. Anyone that wants to, if you move down there, we'll tell anyone that wants to have a conversation.
You're messing up the conversation right now. You're messing up the conversation.
No, he's not. Dredd, you're in the middle of a point. Could you back up a little bit?
I think he was finished.
Yeah, I was pretty much finished. All I'm saying is
I was the one who was speaking, and he overspoke me.
No, you weren't.
That's what happened.
Liar.
That's not what happened.
Let's stop wasting your time. Just go ahead, Darth.
Yeah. It's fine.
You got
the problem here with your position, when you're invoking things that are proven, nothing is proven in science. All conclusions are provisional. You either accept that or you deny it. Which is it?
Hang on. That's not correct. The phenomenon that we see have been proven to occur in the real world. That's in the way that quantum entanglement has been proven to occur in the real world. We've seen the mechanism of this happen. So I don't get your argument. It's been observed.
You don't see it. It's interpreted. It's inferred. You don't see it. Okay? What you're doing is you are conflating. What you are conflating is an inferential process and interpretation from a particular perspective and saying that we see it. Now, you didn't answer my question. Are any conclusions of following empirical endeavors and analysis, are they in fact proven and true, or in science, are they provisional in nature and accepted as true, but they could be falsified tomorrow? It's either one or the other, which is...
I already answered this. They are provisional.
No, you didn't. That's why I asked the question again.
No, I did. They're provisional, and so is gravity, and so is everything in science. It's known to a very, very high precision.
Okay. Then what you're then attempting to do is use a provisional interpretation of certain phenomenon and say that the interpretation, which is provisional and subject to falsification tomorrow, that would mitigate against that there being universal laws of logic.
Tim,
well, a provisional conclusion that may be false does not falsify something else.
So wait, I think you're confusing two things in science.
Hang on, can I ask a question?
Exists. Oh, sorry, just real quick. Regardless of gravity exists, a hammer is still going to fall to the ground. That's not
okay. Are you all right?
That's essentially
so
what he's
hold
saying.
on, slow down.
Well, wait, I'm not done.
You said it will happen in the future. I have a question. Do you know the future?
Talking.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Do you know the future when you say it will happen?
Understand critical rationalism.
Sir, it's a hypothetical.
Okay,
when you say it will
oh my god.
Okay, fine.
The future.
I drop a hammer right now. It just hit the table. I look at it right now.
No,
Quantum entanglement is happening
my question.
right now.
You're not addressing my question. You said if you drop a hammer, it will fall and hit the ground. You're talking about the future. Now, I want to ask you a question. And this is a serious question. Do you know the future?
No.
Okay. How then do you know? Okay, hold on.
What's a prediction?
Listen. Then how do you know what will happen in the future based upon what?
Based upon, I mean, okay, I see what you're getting at here, but that's irrelevant to my argument.
Correction, he made a prediction.
I will ignore anyone but Bagel speaking to me. So,
okay. Well, I mean, technically, Dredd had the floor. I was just butting in here to point out that.
Well, do you have an answer to my question?
I'm not answering it because it's going down a bunny trail.
So you can't answer the question. Then.
I can't answer the question. I'm not.
Okay, what's your answer? How do you know the future? Based upon what?
Based upon continuous observations in the past.
So what you're saying is the future will be like the past. How do you know that?
Because it's always been that way. A hammer is always going to
that's begging the question. That's begging the question. That's begging the question. When you say that we've never seen a deviation, and every time we predict this, it comes through. Therefore, all future futures will be like all past futures because they were like the past. That's begging the question.
Keep hitting the table. You hear that?
So do you understand? What you just did, you've made an appeal, Bagel. You've made an appeal to past consistency without deviation. Okay. And so since all past consistencies continue, therefore all futures will be consistent like the past.
He's not going to answer his question, so can we just move on from this point? Because
so that's begging the question, Bagel.
Are you disputing causality then?
Hold on. Tim, like, obviously Bagel isn't going to answer his question because he doesn't want to answer his bullshit fucking logic. The thing that he seemed to make an assertion to earlier was Karl Popper, but Karl Popper also further expanded on his point and became a critical rationalist, and that scientific theories and other claims of knowledge should and can be rationally criticized if they have empirical content. So something like quantum theory can have empirical content because you can test it and see the observations from it, and they should be subjected to tests which may falsify them. That's not, he's being really disingenuous the way that he represented what Popper said, and it's like done in such a way to try and invalidate the argument, which is kind of a fucking bullshit tactic, but it doesn't sort of discount Dredd's point of how quantum entanglement
so was I wrong reaction. Was I wrong when I said that Karl Popper did not accept that we could verify things, and that's why he championed the falsification criteria?
No, you're being disingenuous. He expanded it up into critical rationalism. That
I said was that false? I said was that false? What I said.
But you're being deliberately misleading and disingenuous. That's the point that I'm making here.
Is it false?
No, that's a non-argument.
Karl Popper
you're being misleading.
Did Karl Popper believe? Did Karl Popper believe that verification was actually viable?
Okay, hold on, Tim. The thing is, though, I don't need him to finish, okay, because he's deliberately misrepresenting the facts.
You're not going to interrupt him. He's not going to interrupt you.
Man, stop rambling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did Karl Popper believe that verification was possible when it comes to scientific theories?
That's a non-argument. It's irrelevant to the point.
That's a question to you, sir.
Okay, well, the question is an irrelevant question to this argument because.
So in other words, you're not really interested in having a conversation.
Dude, Tim, you just told me not to interrupt me, but he's fucking interrupting me now. Come on.
Darth, let him finish.
You're not even answering the question. You're just saying bullshit.
Hold on, because it's an irrelevant question designed to be a red herring to get away.
So where do we go from now? Where do we go from now?
No, it is relevant. I'm asking you about Karl Popper.
And I explained to you how Karl Popper further expanded upon the point that you're trying to sort of like die on this hill on, and how it's not relevant anymore because it's changed.
Why did Karl Popper champion the falsification criterion?
No, he championed critical rationalism, which is every claim should be.
That's another title of it. I understand that. Why did Karl Popper champion the distinction between science and non-science? Was the falsification criterion? The question is, did Karl Popper believe that verification was viable or not viable?
No, he said that it should be normatively evaluated, and that it's either
you're not addressing my question.
Or empirical.
Yeah, you're just listen. What you're doing is you're not even. You're just simply talking past me. You're
He's reading the
Wikipedia
page. I'm reading it right
now.
Yeah,
I know he is. He's not. What he's doing is a form of trolling. He's making a pretense that he's in the conversation, but he's not responding to my questions.
You mean like how you do?
Now I want to.
Because
listen, dude. I answer people's questions.
Okay, so hold on. So let's go back to mine and Dred's original argument of quantum entanglement. Do you know what quantum entanglement is?
I've read upon it, yeah.
So what is quantum entanglement? Explain it to me, please.
I don't think I'll do a good job of expressing it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
The bottom line here, the reason why quantum entanglement was invoked was as a line of reasoning to mitigate against the laws of logic.
All right.
Quantum entanglement is an interpretation of phenomenon.
Thank you.
That interpretation of that what is called quantum entanglement is not set in concrete, and it could be falsified tomorrow.
Okay, but do you also accept that quantum logic is different from regular logic, right?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Okay, so I can't have this conversation with you if you don't actually understand.
You're just trolling. You're not.
How am I?
You're not having a conversation with me.
Hold on, no, I'm being serious here. Like, if you don't understand quantum entanglement and basic quantum theory, I can't go into this deeper with you.
Well, the issue here, that quantum entanglement was brought up to mitigate that the laws of logic are absolute and universal.
Okay,
that was the topic.
Okay, so
do you believe in the laws of logic?
Darth, hold on. Okay, no, this isn't the point that we're having here. I'm trying to explain quantum entanglement to you. If you don't understand quantum entanglement, I'm more than happy.
See, I want everyone in the room to notice he's not having a conversation with me. He's simply rambling and talking past.
No, I'm not rambling and trying to explain. But if we're going to have a discussion on quantum entanglement and quantum mechanics, you need to have
he's doing it again right now.
Why? It's relevant to the question. It's relevant to the topic, is it not, Tim? For him to have a basic understanding.
Well, I don't understand how, in your worldview, you can talk about. Okay, well, my question is
right now.
Right. Well, when you talk about quantum entanglement, does that mean that is quantum entanglement something that is a part of the nature of reality?
It's the fundamental building blocks.
Okay. Now, if it's the fundamental building block, doesn't that entail that there's continuity over time at a quantum level?
Again, I can't answer to that. But neither can you.
Well, if you don't know, if you can't answer that there's continuity over time with respect to quantum phenomenon, how can you talk about the ongoing? Please let me finish and stop over talking.
You didn't let him finish.
Because you're not going to escape this, and the only way you're going to attempt to escape it is to double talk. Now, when you talk about quantum entanglement, are you talking about it as an ongoing, continuous phenomenon? Yes or no?
That's not what we're talking about, okay? But nice try.
I asked you a question.
I know.
Is quantum entanglement a part of the uniform?
Oh,
go ahead and respond.
Darth, let me finish. So the point that we were trying to make here is that there is a distinction between quantum entanglement and how it separates you from regular logic. You're trying to bring up a red herring, which is irrelevant to the point, because the whole theory that we're trying to tell you is that quantum theory does not, regular logic does not apply to quantum theory. That's the point that we're trying to make here, which you seem to be really disingenuous, and you keep trying to fucking derail and go to another fucking side of it when we're asking you to. Because the thing is, if we lead you down this path, and you turn around and explain what quantum entanglement is, and then we can lead you further down a path which shows how quantum entanglement and quantum theory breaks your regular laws of logic. But you keep dodging this. You keep saying, "Oh, I'm trolling. I'm doing this," because you know that if you follow down this path, you'll be BTFO'd. So you either come and try and explain to us what you think quantum entanglement is, so myself and Dred can educate you, or you back out of this conversation humbly because you are well out of your depth. So this is the question: explain what quantum entanglement is, or back the fuck down, because you can't make a point on this hill.
Okay. Are the quantum phenomenon that you refer to, including quantum entanglement, is that in virtue of a continuity over time? Or
no, just explain what quantum entanglement is. Stop trying to get out of it and just
I asked you a
look at the Wikipedia definition if it helps.
Okay, I have read it before.
Okay,
now
cool.
What I'd like to know from you is, when you invoke quantum entanglement or any other quantum phenomenon for that matter, okay, are these events that are reoccurring?
Why is that relevant?
I'd like an answer to my question.
I know, but I'm asking you a question. Why is it relevant?
Is quantum entanglement something that is present or continues into the future?
I don't know. It could stop tomorrow. Okay,
so if if you don't know that it is present or ongoing, why do you keep on talking about it as though it's a present phenomenon?
That's disingenuous. We do know it's present and ongoing. We're testing it now.
Okay. Why are you talking about?
We don't know if it'll exist in the future.
Who died 2,000 years ago? Like, why is that relevant to what happens today?
Okay. Well, what I'm asking you, when you talk about quantum entanglement,
stop dodging.
You're talking about some type of what we would call continuity over time. That
you're evading
that have continuity. Now, do you believe when you invoke quantum entanglement and any other quantum phenomenon, do you believe that there is any at all continuity over time in terms of physical phenomenon?
Stop
do you have an answer to my question?
No, because you keep evading
scared of you.
No, what I want to know is, do you believe that there's any continuity over time in terms of physical phenomena?
Listen, I'm going to use an appeal to authority. I'm not a fucking quantum physicist. Sorry, a theoretical physicist. I can't answer this. I'm asking you yet to explain what quantum entanglement is. Okay. My opinion on what quantum entanglement is irrelevant. We're just going by the scientific definitions.
No, when you invoke quantum entanglement or any other physical phenomenon, whether it's at a quantum, an atomic, or a molecular level, that will be implicitly conveying that there's some level of continuity over time for those phenomena. Now, if you did not believe, if you didn't hold implicitly to continuity over time in terms of certain physical phenomenon, that would render any such statement of physical phenomenon, including quantum entanglement or any other quantum phenomenon, as meaningless. So it's going to require at least some continuity over time.
No, it's not.
Okay, well, if there's no continuity over time, then there's nothing that's static and where phenomenon are the same over time. Okay, so whether you're talking about quantum entanglement or that atoms have electron shells or whatever, you're referring to various continuity over time, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't mean anything. So you are invoking continuity over time. Now, what I'd like to know from you is, what is it that provides for any continuity over time for any phenomenon, even at a quantum level? What would that be?
Stop trying to answer my question with a question, okay? Answer the question or back the fuck out. I told you, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole with you. Either answer my question or you're going to...
I don't understand how quantum entanglement can be meaningful without continuity.
Well, don't worry. I'll explain it to you once you explain to me what quantum entanglement is. It's fine.
Okay, so can quantum entanglement or any other physical phenomenon at a quantum level be meaningful absent the concept of continuity over time?
Listen, okay, you keep asking me this question. Just answer what quantum entanglement is, and I'll hold your hand to the rest of it.
Okay, well, whether I could give you a good definition, I mean, I could read off of Wikipedia or pull up articles, but I'm interested is a deeper concept here, because there are different physical phenomena that we could both invoke, including quantum entanglement or other quantum phenomenon. All of these descriptors of physical phenomenon are going to require that there is continuity over time, okay? Otherwise, quantum entanglement or any other physical phenomenon doesn't mean anything. So it's going to require that there's some level of continuity over time, because either you believe that any physical phenomenon at a quantum level requires continuity over time, or it doesn't require any continuity. Which do you believe?
All right. So are you done now, Darth? Because you keep taking a pause.
That was a question.
It's a yes or no thing. Are you done so I can answer, or are you going to keep interrupting?
I'm waiting for an answer.
All right, cool. That's irrelevant. Okay, I'm asking for you to explain what quantum entanglement is. Yeah, you don't answer my question with a question.
I'm waiting for my answer. Does quantum entanglement require continuity over time?
No, because do you want to know why? Because it doesn't follow the regular rules of logic, as I tried explaining to you earlier. That's why you don't need to ask me this question. It's an irrelevant question.
Do you realize how you just fell on your sword there?
No, because I just told you how it doesn't follow the regular laws of logic.
Continuity over time.
Continuity?
Continuity over time. Do you know what that means?
Okay, that's irrelevant. I just explained to you it doesn't follow the regular rules of logic.
Saying that's irrelevant is not a rebuttal. Now,
it is a rebuttal.
Do you know that without continuity over time, you cannot invoke
this is a non-argument.
A class. You can't invoke a class of phenomenon that will mean the same thing at one moment versus another time index. So you just said, no, it's not so much an argument. I'm pointing out the incoherence of your position. You said that invoking quantum entanglement, which is a class, okay?
It's not a class.
Does not require, okay, it is a class of phenomenon.
Ah, right? Okay.
Okay, if I said, for example, that there's a certain chemical reaction, right, that would be a class as well, as opposed to, I could talk about trees as a class. I could talk about explosions or chemical reactions.
So wouldn't agree.
Okay, these would all be different versions of classes. Now, what you're saying is that a class of things, and in this case, the class is quantum entanglement, that quantum entanglement as a class can be meaningful without the concept of continuity. Well, that's entirely fallacious, because continuity over time means that the class of things that is invoked is the same thing in one time index as well as in another time index. But you see, when you said that quantum entanglement or any other quantum phenomenon doesn't require continuity, what you're saying is it can be the same thing without being the same thing. So what you said is an incoherency.
No, that's right, okay? Because what you seem to think is quantum entanglement. So say, because I'm going to have to explain what quantum entanglement is to you, because you seem to keep denying it, is you can have two photons existing in the same place at the same time. They are not the same photon, but it's there, two places at the same time. Do you understand?
That's photons, what quantum entanglement is. When you talk about photons, does that which photons represents, does it stay the same? Does it have continuity through time indexes?
It can't have continuity because it's existing in two places at the same time.
No, I said the class of photons.
Oh my God.
Do photons stay the same as a class over time indexes?
Ask him what light is.
Well, it's not irrelevant because you just invoked photons. When you invoke photons at T1, does it mean the same thing as a class as photon in T2 or T3?
No, they're
different. You're talking about the same class?
Dread, do you want to take over for a bit because my mind's going fucking numb?
Well, you see, what I'm driving at is a foundational layer to your invoking of quantum entanglement. You're going to need the concept of continuity over time to talk about photons. Yeah, you do, because are photons a class, sir?
Christian atheism, all I need to do...
Are photons... I asked you a question. If you're going to talk past me, I'll just ignore you. Are photons a class?
It's not a relevant question.
Are photons... It's relevant to me. I want to know. Are photons a class?
That is not a relevant question to what you were talking about.
It is relevant. He invoked photons. I asked you. Are photons a class? And does that class, in terms of its properties and attributes, remain? Does the class continue to exist over time indexes?
It does not matter.
No, it does matter, because then
the laws of logic don't exist at that scale.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm not talking about the laws of logic right now.
But that's the argument.
What I'm talking about is when you invoke. Okay, you cannot speak without invoking classes of things. So if you say photons, all right, photons mean that there are different entities that are members of a class. They have a shared set of properties and attributes. Does the class itself remain the same over time indexes?
As far as we know.
Okay, so the answer is yes?
I didn't say that. I said as far as we know.
Okay, well, you do know that?
As far as we know, they seem to. They have in the past. I can't say they will.
Okay, so can you tell me what is it that secures that classes remain the same over time indexes?
I can't say whether it does. I can only tell you it has in the past.
Thank you. You've now given me the rope to hang you with.
No, because it's irrelevant.
Yes, you have. Saying it's irrelevant is a poor debate tactic. Now, when you say you don't know, see, here's what you don't realize. You just handed me the rope. When you said you don't know what secures that classes remain the same, then you are saying that classes remain continuous over time indexes because of I don't know.
That's not what I said. Nope.
Okay, so do classes of things remain over time indexes because of what?
I don't know if they will in the future. I just literally said
no. I'm asking you
in the past.
What?
I don't know if they will.
I didn't ask you about the future. I asked you what is it that provides for continuity over time indexes, that the set of properties and attributes for classes stays the same through the past. What is it that secured that?
I don't know. We just have observed that it has.
Therefore, okay, so you don't know what, if anything, secures the continuity of classes. Is that correct?
Again, still irrelevant to entanglement, but okay.
No, that's not an answer to my question.
I don't know. This is off topic, though.
Do you know what secures the continuity of classes through time indexes in the past?
I'm not going to answer the same question 7 times.
I want everyone in the room to notice. I am simply taking what they are asserting and focusing on the classes that they are invoking and asking them to provide from their model of reality what secures for the continuity over time indexes, including the time indexes in the past,
that
the classes remain the same over time indexes. And his answer was, I don't know.
Yeah,
therefore, when you invoke classes through time indexes, whatever that frame of reference may be, whether it's the past, the present, or the future, what you are then saying is these classes exist as a part of your premises because of I don't know. So you are making unfounded claims that classes exist over time indexes.
No, I literally don't need to make that claim.
Oh, yes, you do.
All I need to do is show to you that quantum entanglement has happened and that it doesn't square with the law of identity.
Quantum entanglement or any other physical phenomenon. I'm going to ask you a question. Can you invoke any quantum occurrences without invoking certain entities that are members of a class?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter, because when you talk about quantum phenomenon, you're going to have, in order to speak at all, you're going to have to invoke entities that are members of one or more classes. Because if you don't identify that they're members of classes, then what you were saying will not be intelligible. So when you invoke quantum phenomenon, you're going to be invoking that there are entities. Are any of those entities in the quantum phenomenon that you're referring to, are they members at all of any class? Do you have an answer?
I mean, everything's a member of a class, if you want to put it in that way.
Okay, so the intelligibility and meaningfulness of your discussion of any quantum phenomenon is going to require that there are classes of entities. Is that correct?
There would have to be entities for anything, yeah.
No, that's not what I asked you. I said when you talk about any quantum phenomenon, including quantum entanglement, you're going to have to be invoking certain entities, and that those entities are members of a class. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you have a rational justification that there is something that provides for the existence of these classes and the continuity of these classes?
No, I just know they exist.
No. If you know the classes include an unconditionally non-dependent.
Sorry, you cut out. I didn't hear that.
I said when you know that these classes exist, are these entities that are in a class, are they absolute and non-dependent? Or is their being a member of the class dependent upon precursors?
I'm not interested in your rabbit hole because it's irrelevant
I'm
as to
not
whether or
rabbit
not
holing.
quantum
No, it's not a
entanglement has
rabbit hole.
happened,
It's
or
not
if
a
it
rabbit
breaks the law of
hole.
identity. It's
I'm
really irrelevant.
waiting for you.
I'm
No,
sure
you're
everyone here agrees
discussing.
it's irrelevant.
You're discussing classes of things.
Could you go ahead and repeat what you said, man? 'Cause I could not hear you.
It's completely irrelevant as to whether or not Class A and B might change in the future or may have changed. All I need do in this argument is show to you that we have observed quantum entanglement and that it breaks the law of identity for any of the two entangled molecules, or however many you've got. Like, let's say you've got 8. So long as it breaks the law of identity for just one of those particles, that means the law of logic is not consistently followed, which means not your argument. It's not even your argument, Darth. But it means Batman's arguments fall flat and don't work.
Okay.
That's the argument we're having.
What you're doing is you're segueing away from my question.
No,
now,
no.
in order to talk, in order to speak about quantum phenomenon, right? At all, whatever you speak, you're going to have to invoke directly or indirectly referencing some classes. Now, you already admitted that in order to talk about quantum phenomenon and including quantum entanglement, you're going to have to invoke that they're classes, and you said classes are real. Now, do classes exist? Do these entities that are a member of a class, are they a member of the class because they themselves are absolute and unconditionally non-dependent, or are they members of the class in virtue of a precursor?
Can you please define what you mean by class? Because is a photon in its own class?
A class is an entity that has a shared set of properties and attributes with other entities from a common source, and that common source provides for the continuity. Now, in order for you to invoke quantum occurrences, you're inevitably going to have to invoke classes of things, as you've mentioned photons. Now, photons, well, whatever, it doesn't matter what particles. You mentioned particles, right? Okay, are these particles at all members of a class? Because if they're not, then you're not going to be speaking meaningfully. So the bottom line is that for the intelligibility and meaningfulness of your invoking quantum phenomenon, right? It doesn't matter whether you're invoking quantum phenomenon or atomic phenomenon, but in this case, it's quantum phenomenon. Now, you're going to have to mention classes of entities. But in order for those classes to be meaningful, they're having those properties and attributes will either be absolute in themselves and unconditionally non-dependent, or they're being members of that class and having those properties and attributes will be derivative from a precursor. Which is it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they remain constant.
Then if you don't know, then you don't know that the classes exist and are not just simply mere happenstance occurrence. Because classes could only exist if there's something, let me finish. Classes can only exist if there's something that secures their classness. If you don't know what does secure the classness, then you're invoking that they are classes is without basis. So you see, your line of reasoning, first of all, you're appealing to provisional concepts in quantum mechanics, which could turn out these interpretations. There's 12 different interpretations in quantum mechanics. And as I quoted to you, David Tong said, we could be entirely wrong if we're looking at it from a wrong perspective. So when you say we see these things, you don't see quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is inferred from a series of experiments. So it is an interpretive. Now, I want to ask you a simple scientific question. Are all observations in empirical endeavors theory-laden?
What do you mean by theory?
Okay, do you consider observations as neutral, or are observations theory-laden, where people interpret something based upon their network of beliefs about the background information?
Well, actual results for an experiment would be neutral.
No, I didn't. That's not an answer to my question. I said, are all observations theory-laden?
No.
Okay, that is a false statement you made. That is 101 philosophy. That is what. See, you're spouting off like you understand science. This is 101. This is what you will learn in week 1 in a 101 class in the philosophy of science. There are no neutral or objective observations. Everybody approaches empirical endeavors and physical phenomenon through a network of beliefs about the nature of reality. So an observation is not merely just simply sensory input. You have sensory input followed by a cognitive processing that we call an observation. So in the philosophy of science, all empirical observations are inherently theory-laden given one's web of belief. So when you appeal to the interpretation of quantum entanglement, that observation is actually a theory-laden interpretation. Okay? Now, do you want to deny that?
Yeah. I don't think there's any theory data when I titrate something and I get a centimeter cubed value of 25.
You're not understanding.
I don't think there's any theory data there.
You're not understanding. Either you're understanding what I'm saying and you're evading it, or you're truly not understanding it.
I mean, you're using observation.
You cannot evade the basic concept in the philosophy of science that observations are inherently theory-laden. In other words, when you have sensory data, right, coming to your eyes and your ears, you are going to, that sensory data will be cognitively filtered. Do you accept that?
Not in all cases.
Oh, explain to me how sensory data is not cognitively filtered.
It's not. If I take a titer and I got 20 centimeters cubed, there is no cognitive processing that would.
Wow! You know what? I'm dumbfounded right now that you don't realize. You're not. You see, you don't even have a basic understanding of the philosophy of science, because you have a whole set of beliefs in order to make that statement. You have to believe when you have those experiences that we call sense data, you first have to have a belief that there are causal relations between events. Okay,
right.
You understand that?
Can I ask a question now?
Can you please wait? Because I'm getting to the point here. Because I want to demonstrate here that
nothing's
Dredd doesn't know what he's
Nothing
talking about.
can be proved then.
Dredd, I want to ask you a question. When you talked about the empirical endeavor that you just presented, must you first believe, following those events, that there are causal relations between events?
All right, Tim, I need you to sort of tag in here for a second.
Do you have an answer to my question, Dredd?
Sorry if it was.
Must you believe that there are causal relations and connections between events? Must you have a belief cognitively that there are causal connections and relations between events following the chronology of the events in question?
Not in every case in science. You do experiments to determine.
No, that's not. No, that's not. You see, you're evading my question. Must you believe that there are causal relations at all?
In most cases.
Right. So you have a belief that functions as a cognitive filter due to the chronology of the events that transpired that you referenced in measuring. So you have a belief that there are causal relations. You cannot demonstrate that there are causal relations empirically, because you would have to presuppose there are causal relations in order to invoke things like sense perception. Now, when you talk about an observation, would you also have to presuppose that nature operates in some regular ways as a belief, as a part of a cognitive filter, when you talk about sense data?
Would you have to believe that the universe works in a constant way? Was that the question?
I'd like an answer to my question. Must you believe that nature?
He wants his answer.
In order to speak forth an observation, don't you have to have a belief in order to have and give an observation that nature operates in some law-like ways?
All right. Can I ask a question here? Because obviously,
okay, I'm waiting for his answer.
He's not going to answer, and I'm going to my question.
Do you have an answer to that question, Dredd?
Wait, I do have an answer to his question. If you
I'm not. Well, you can wait your turn because I'm speaking.
Hold on.
Dredd, do you have an answer to that question?
If you want to say who can and can't talk, you got to do that in your room. Viv, go ahead, man. If you got to.
So I'm just waiting for him to answer. So Dredd is tapping out.
He's not going to answer your pointless question. The point that I'm going to ask you, Darth.
It wasn't point.
It is a pointless question. Are you a Bible literalist?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so do you want to explain to me the science behind the flood? Because
no, I don't have to do that because.
Okay, cool. So basically, there wouldn't be enough. Hold on.
You want to have a conversation here?
He didn't want to explain, so I was going to explain.
I'd like to respond instead of you running roughshod over me. Now, you asked me if I'm a Bible literalist. Okay, can you please tell me basically what your worldview is?
Okay, that's irrelevant. And my worldview is orthogonal.
No, it is relevant because you just asked me my worldview. I'm asking you your worldview.
It's orthogonal.
It's relevant to me. I'd like to know the worldview that you're speaking from because meaningfulness and intelligibility.
Talk about you instead of you trying to tear them apart.
Your model of reality. No. I would like to know what you are. Are you not a biblical literalist?
It's Nunya.
Okay. Are you not a biblical literalist?
It's Nunya.
I'm waiting for an answer.
I just told you it's Nunya.
I don't know what that is.
It's none of your business.
None of your business.
Okay. Well,
so anyway, as I was saying before, you kept
here's the
interrupting
problem,
me.
because therefore any concept that you put forth won't have a foundation for meaningfulness.
That's bullshit. Okay, so let's look about this.
Can a predication be meaningful from a vacuum?
That's irrelevant. Okay, that's a non-argument.
Yeah, it is saying it's irrelevant is simply a childish way of going la 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 la. Now,
okay, that's nice. That's what you're doing right now.
If you make any assertion to me, you will be making an assertion from your model of reality. It's inescapable.
Okay, that's fine then.
You're not going to be making an assertion from a worldview that you can believe that doesn't exist. So the next assertion you make,
stop filibustering.
The next assertion you make, I'm going to have to ask you what model of reality provides for it.
All right, so basically this is going to be an open, I'm going to reply to the room since you obviously don't want to fucking reply to me. So basically, since he's a Bible literalist, okay, based on the understanding of what we know of the Earth's atmosphere, there wouldn't have been enough water for the fucking flood to have occurred. And had there been, and given the sort of conditions, the oxygen would have been so rich that a single spark would have ignited the atmosphere. So if there was a storm, basically it would have set the whole world on fire. So that basically defies his entire sort of argument. If he's a Bible I wasn't done talking. Don't interrupt me. So basically what that means, is the flood did not happen. So that disproves the flood. And he just said he's a Bible literalist. So basically what we can now turn around and say is Darth Dawkins was wrong. He refuses to admit so. And basically I have just BTFO'd him. Sit down, Darth.
Okay, are you appealing to the laws of nature as a falsifier to the Noahic flood?
I mean, listen, Darth, don't go down this rabbit hole. Are you saying, based on the current...
Did you just appeal to science?
Did you just appeal to God?
Did you appeal that science falsifies the Noah account of the flood?
I did.
Okay. Does science require that nature operate in some law-like ways?
I mean, for the flood to happen, it needs to have enough water for it to happen, and science proves that there wasn't enough water.
Does science require
that's not an argument.
Laws of nature?
Darth, answer my question. Stop dodging.
Okay.
See, what you're having here is Darth is being incredibly juvenile. He won't answer my question. He keeps dodging and evading, and it shows that he's actually being a troll.
You said science falsifies the Bible.
Listen.
It falsifies the Noah's flood. Now, does science require laws of nature?
Okay, see, Darth doesn't actually reply to my point. The point which turned around and said that there wasn't enough water.
No, I want to see if your worldview.
No, my worldview.
I want to see if your worldview has a basis for science. Is there a basis for science?
You just crushed on a Christian. Holy shit!
Basically, I just bodied Darth right now.
How
Darth is now having a breakdown.
How is science viable.
You can't answer my point.
Have you noticed there's like require that laws of nature?
Darth, explain to me how the flood happened if there wasn't enough water on the earth for the flood to happen. Okay. Explain that to me.
Given that the God of the Bible is omniscient and omnipotent, and God is the basis of all possibility, okay? And God, since the Bible teaches that God upholds all things by the power of his will, the only reason why anything can be or cannot be is in virtue of the will of God. So the fact that there would be enough water is simply in virtue of God's absolute omnipotence and sovereignty. Now, since you don't accept that, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
So then stop pausing.
Since you feel that science falsifies the biblical account, what I'd like to know is if science is a viable concept outside of the biblical worldview.
Okay,
now,
so basically,
I'm not done yet.
Fucking God, then
I'm not done yet.
Stop talking.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
This is hilarious.
Now, what I'd like to know from you, does science as a viable concept require that nature operate in law-like ways?
Okay, so basically what you're saying here is the laws of physics and the natural laws of this world, God, they don't apply to God, right? So the laws of
I asked you a question.
Matter. I know, but I don't need to answer that question because it's an irrelevant question.
Well, you do need the need the answer to the question, because in the absence of answering the question, then you will be invoking the viability of science without basis.
Am I some kind of slave, Darth, that I have to answer your questions or something?
You don't have to answer it, but then you would be then you would be making an arbitrary claim about the viability of science. Is your advocacy of science arbitrary or not arbitrary?
Is your advocacy of God arbitrary or not arbitrary?
No, it's non-arbitrary. Now, would you answer my question, please?
Why is it not arbitrary?
Okay, why? Because God has given self-disclosure of himself. Now, I've answered two of your questions. Now, does science require that nature operate in law-like ways? Does science require that nature operate in law-like ways?
Darth, hold on.
Dude, you're beating a dead horse.
Who's saying that? Because like I can't see
does
the
science require that it work in law-like ways?
Okay, Darth, this is the point that I'm trying to make to you. Okay, so basically what you're saying here is God has gone against the laws of physics. He has created water out of nothing. What laws of physics? So wait, are you now saying the laws of physics don't exist?
No, I'm asking you. I'm asking you. In your worldview, are there laws of physics?
Whatever the scientific community agrees the laws of physics to be,
I'm
based
asking
on a current
you,
understanding of science.
Do you believe that there are laws of physics?
My view on this is irrelevant.
No, it is. No, it is relevant because you said that science mitigates against the Genesis.
I just explained to you. Okay.
Does science require laws of physics?
Listen, okay, I'm telling you that it doesn't matter.
Does science require laws of physics?
I'm not answering this question.
So you can't defend what the nature of science is then?
No, because you're asking me for anecdotal evidence about my own personal subjective opinion.
Can you tell me what the nature of science is?
Why is my subjective opinion about what science is relevant here?
Well, so are you using your subjective opinion to falsify the biblical narrative?
No, it's not my opinion. It's other opinions of other scientific experts.
Okay,
it's not my opinion. I'm merely regurgitating.
So it's the collective. So it's the collective opinion of scientists. Now, do they rely on their belief?
I don't know. I don't speak for them.
Okay. Now, do the laws of physics mitigate and contradict the Genesis account?
According to this, yes.
Okay. Now, are there laws of physics?
I don't know. I'm not a physicist.
So you say I don't know contradicts the Genesis account?
Are you a biblical scholar?
Okay, so in other words, you're saying that I don't know falsifies the Bible. That's what you just said.
No, I'm saying that scientific inference based by other more educated individuals blows your argument out of the water.
So they're educated. What are they educated? What are they knowledgeable about?
Don't overtalk me. I'm still talking. What I was saying to you, I'm going to talk really slowly so you can understand me, because I feel that you're not getting the point that I'm trying to make to you. So basically, Darth, what I'm trying to say to you is other more experienced experts have said that there was not enough water in the earth for this to have occurred based on our understanding of what has happened throughout the time period.
Understanding of what?
I'm still talking. Why are you interrupting me? Like, you cry about people interrupting you, but you don't.
Because you're repeating yourself what you said a few minutes ago.
About him interrupting you. Just get to the point.
Okay. All right, so the point that I'm trying to make to you is they have ascertained and proven that there wasn't enough water for it to happen. And had there been enough water, the oxygen in the environment would have been so rich, it would have ignited it had there been a single spark, which during the time of this storm, there was a thunderstorm that would have ignited the atmosphere. Yet, as we know, the world did not explode, the sky was not on fire, therefore it could not have happened. Unless you're saying that there was an event which would have burned up the entire ozone layer, killing all life on Earth, suddenly occurring. Now, are you saying that happened? Are you saying that there was an extinction level event? Is that the claim that you're making now?
What I'm not understanding is, are you saying that the laws of physics contradict the Genesis account?
What? No, just stop. You're talking around me and you're being really disingenuous. Answer my question, Darth. If there was an extinction level event, why is it not in the Bible? Because unless God came in and directly interfered, which he's not supposed to do, as far as I'm aware. He's not supposed, aside from his few interventions that he's made, he's not going to come out and save us all.
Since, to answer to your question, since God is sovereign and omnipotent, and all occurrences are in the power of God, he upholds all things by the power of his will, God can flood the earth any way he sees fit. Now, what I'm asking you is, since you do not accept the Genesis account, you're appealing to the laws of physics to show that the laws of physics contradict the Genesis account. What I'd like to know from you is, are you referring to the laws of physics, the uniformity of nature that was instituted by God, or are you referring that there are laws of physics without God?
My fucking God, this is irrelevant.
No, you invoke the laws of physics.
No, that's irrelevant. My viewpoint is irrelevant. Okay, you keep denying my point.
Are you using the laws of physics as a defeater?
Why is the laws of physics a irrelevant factor when I'm explaining to you why it could not happen?
Are you using the law of physics as a defeater?
Are you using an appeal to authority as a defeater?
I'm waiting for an answer to my question.
You're trying to use an appeal to authority. You're just full of logical fallacies.
Are you using the laws of physics
Darth,
as
I can do this all day. I can do this all day, Darth.
Is that not a fair question?
No, because you're being disingenuous. You're asking a completely irrelevant question.
Okay, no, it is relevant because you indirectly invoke laws of nature.
Nope.
It doesn't matter where they come from.
So you did not appeal.
That's not what I'm saying. Nope.
In any way, so let me ask you this. So you did not appeal either directly or indirectly to physics?
It's an irrelevant point right now. You keep dodging my point.
You didn't appeal.
Stop dodging, Darth.
Physics.
Stop dodging.
I mean, does everybody see what's going on here? Every time I ask a simple question, we get
You're dodging his question by trying to go off on a bunny trail like you always do. It doesn't matter what your worldview is.
How is me going off on a bunny trail when I'm asking about his invocation of physics?
It doesn't matter where physics comes from.
He asserted physics. I want to know if physics is viable in his worldview.
It's irrelevant if it's viable in my view.
Bagel, is it your understanding? Bagel, is it your understanding that he did or did not invoke in any way physics?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if he did.
Okay, so see, this is what we've come to the point now where you guys don't actually want to have a conversation. So no matter what question that I raise about any assertion you make, the response that you give is, that's irrelevant, that's irrelevant, that's irrelevant.
Because
so the point is, we can't possibly have a conversation or a debate when every time I ask you a question specifically about something you asserted, and the retort is, that's irrelevant. This is a complete evasive tactic.
All right, I'm going to go next. Okay,
so
Darth,
I've done my job. You're just trolling now. Thank you for your time.
No, I'm not.
I think the issue here, guys, is Darth, you were trying to basically inquire about their worldview, and you were kind of sort of quizzing them, so to speak. Not exactly quizzing, but you know what I mean. Kind of testing the worldview. They're trying to do the same to you.